Hi, I'm Alex Van Gestel. I'm the VP of Consumer Products, focused on CPG brands within the European market.
So I'm Erika Moretti, based in Milan. I head up the strategy and innovation team for EPAM Continuum.
I'm Venki Ramesh. I am the VP of Business Consulting for Consumer Products and Distribution, based in New York.
Hi, I'm Dan Smythe, Vice President of Retail Consulting at EPAM, focused on working with retailers in the North American market.
So I think consumers are willing to buy. Especially Gen Z, they are very ethics and sustainability focused. Unfortunately, they are at a life stage where they cannot really afford to buy such products.
I think pandemic, what motivates somebody has become, I think, much more complex, and obviously how they are thinking about, purchasing things from companies or services or products has become very complex. And those kind of emotional triggers, beginning to unpick those emotional triggers, I think is fascinating, because clearly there is a sliding scale, and value is very much paramount. But at the same time, they want to be doing the right thing, and they want to be sustainable. They want to be looking at options in terms of what they can do. Certainly the younger generation are buying increasingly secondhand, or buying from marketplaces.
There are obviously segments of consumers to whom ethics are a main driver. So they will tend to choose ethic or sustainable solutions over all the offering you might have. So ethics and sustainability can be perceived as a barrier sometimes, because it's higher in terms of price, because it takes longer delivery times.
I heard loud and clear from the Consumer Council is that while ethics is not a deciding factor, it's not a key decision criteria, it's definitely a tiebreaker, right? And what I mean by that is, all else equal, our Consumer Council will choose the product or the retailer who aligns with their values, right? And so that's something that I think we're going to see play out in terms of brands are going to start to realize that, and they're going to start to tout their ethics, right? And so it's going to become, I think, higher on the list of criteria as things progress. And so that was encouraging for me. But obviously, we can't necessarily assume that a sustainably sourced product or fair trade practices are going to override something that provides more value in other ways to our consumers.
I think it should start with brands trying to understand what does sustainability mean for the consumer, right? Because across the globe, different geographies, sustainability could mean different things. For some people it could be about reuse, some people it could be about biodegradable products, and for some people it could be reduced transportation, right? So I think brands really need to listen to their consumers to understand what sustainability or ethics, for that matter, means to them.
I think what the study revealed for all of the brands is the need to be useful. And that sense of being useful beyond just the delivery of the product or service, I think came through very strongly. And I think it will give rise to some really interesting innovation challenges, both in terms of product and service.
But the easier it is for consumers to access that, the bigger is the adoption of those ethical or sustainable products or ethical and sustainable brands. I don't believe it's common yet across brands or mainstream enough for people, but this is starting with small tweaks in some communications, in some content that the brands can provide, as for example, reducing carbon footprint. But there's a long way to go on that. There's still the need of making those products more accessible and more convenient for the consumers.
I view you can have both, right? So if you think about some of the most successful sustainability initiatives, it's and a large retailer that I worked with, those actions that they took to create a more sustainable supply chain actually drove cost savings, right? They weren't more expensive. For example, optimizing how you utilize the space on a truck, optimizing the route that the trucks take in their deliveries. Those end up using less fuel, creating less carbon emissions, and also saving money that can be passed on to the consumer in the form of a better value, a lower price. So you can have your cake and eat it too, where there's trade-offs, then it's a little bit more complex. But I think focusing on sustainability and responsibility in areas that actually create economic value through efficiency will be step one for if I were to make that recommendation to retailers and brands.
In terms of what excites me most about ethics within this space is I think that a lot of people are finding workarounds. A lot of people are demanding not just the product or the service, but also some added utility, some added usefulness, whether that's convenience or speed or, or some value added help.
I think it would be interesting, actually, to analyze what happens or what sticks in a post-vaccine economy. Just to understand if the existing behaviors or the existing opinions have changed. Maybe the most interesting thing that I would like companies to actually perpetuate is the idea of experimenting, testing new models, or giving an easing of access of those ethical products, or communicating that differently.
I think that as consumers become more attuned to themes like social justice and sustainability, we're going to see brands tout, for example, in the food and beverage space, that whole from farm to fork storytelling, and as we think about new technologies for generating energy that involve the use of food waste, for example, that circular economy, right, of closing the loop in a way that's good for the planet, I think is going to become really important. And brands that can do that well could truly be agents of social change, right, by actually getting consumers excited about making a positive impact on the planet and on society through how they actually do business.